3.
Hello, my name is John and I'm a grateful alcoholic. Are we still awake? Are we liking the convention so far? Can we give a big applause for the convention committee? I really love being in this place. This place is really something special. It started Tuesday for me. I was so excited, it was like a little puppy wiggling my tail the whole effing day. I'm gonna watch my language. I try to have some meeting etiquette. I have a home group. It's the meeting in Breda, international meeting English speaking. I'm there from the start and I've never left. I love this meeting. I love the people in it. People know me, I know them. It's fantastic. I have a sobriety date, 20th of June 2020. The most horrific day in my life. And I get to celebrate it every year. Every year I get a medal. I will tell you later why it's such a horrific day. And if I say I'll tell you later, maybe I'll forget. But I'll do my best. One time I was asked to at a convention, do a workshop, and I was very nervous about the workshop because I didn't know what to say, so I called my sponsor, what should I say? Just your experience, what it was like, what happened, and what it's like now. So I didn't ask my sponsor today, what should I say? Because the big book is very clear about it. What was it like for me? What comes to mind is you know, that driven by 100 forms of fear, but I didn't know that. Before I came to AA, I did not know I was driven by 100 forms of fear. Having panic attacks from a very young age was maybe a little sign that I was driven by fear. I wet my bed until I was 13 years. I had all kinds of nervous tics because I could not admit to myself that I was scared. And then I wear all kinds of masks. I can be the clown, I can be the tough guy, as long as you don't see that I'm afraid. I started drinking when I was 13. Well, I started drinking deliberately when I was 13. I remember when I was younger, with Christmas we had bowls, like fruit punch, some fruity drink with alcohol in it. And my parents, they gave me always one glass, and I remember this tingly feeling in my lips and this warm feeling in my face. I always wanted the second one, but I never got it. But I sneaked in and took a little bit extra. But deliberately drinking I started on 13, and I stopped wetting my bed, I stopped with all my nervous tics. Alcohol was doing for me what I could not do for myself. I'm a blackout drinker. Any more blackout drinkers here? I'm in good company. Any bad runners? Wake up on the couch. Hey, who pissed my pants? We can laugh about it now. But it hasn't been always a blackout. I had a lot of fun drinking. I started young in blackouts, you know, but as my alcoholism progressed, I had more and more blackouts. It was at the end, it was always in blackout. And these, I'm not going to stay too long in my drinkalog, but if my blackouts, if I just sit at home and drink, I pass out on the couch. This is not so dangerous, only for me, because I also combine it with some other stuff like Xanax, and I have sleeping apnea, so it could be a little bit dangerous. I could die from that. But I also have blackouts where one time I wake up, I come to, and I wake up to a blonde lady next to me, and I think, who are you? And I go from the bedroom and I walk towards the window, and I see a blue sea or ocean. I didn't have a clue. and the roofs were kind of Muslimish. And I looked at my suitcase and I was in Turkey. And I didn't have a clue how I flew to Turkey. And then this lady woke up and she said, yeah, you were coming here for a date and you were going to buy some lamps. I still have the lamps, and they're hanging in my living room. They're beautiful. And in this blackout, I did not hurt anybody. But I was also blackout that I wake up on the freeway, close to my house, and I wake up in my car. I think, what the hell am I doing here? And I try to start my car, and there's no diesel in it. So I immediately left my car because I was totally drunk. The police find me, I lose my driver's license. So I hide in the bushes and I called a friend. He was awake and it was in the middle of the night. He's now a member of another fellowship, something to do with cocaine, so that's why he was awake. And he came to rescue my ass, and he came with a jerry can of diesel. And he said, what the hell are you doing here? And I said, I don't know. The only thing that I could think about is probably ran out of alcohol. But then I came to my house, I had plenty of alcohol. And until today, I haven't got a clue what I've been doing that night. And had many nights like this, that I'm in blackout and still moving around. And usually I didn't get any text messages, you were fantastic yesterday. I always had horrible behavior. Luckily, I didn't have an amends program yet then, because I would be very busy. But I drank for 37 years, and it's a long time. And I was wondering a couple of days ago, you know, like how did I manage to keep up so long? I already started making damage, ruining people's lives when I was 17. I was 17. There was a woman who liked me, so I took her hostage. We lived together, same day. We got a child, we got married, and we got divorced. And this all in a period of 2 years. And I really ruined this woman's life. And I have a son, he's now 36. I was never a father for. So I already started ruining his lives at a very young age. And I kept on going, but I just realized last week that there were periods where alcohol was still working for me. I was still doing for me what it once did. And I am willing to give up everything for this feeling, for this ease and comfort that the alcohol gives me. I remember when my 50th birthday, it was 6 months before my rock bottom, I had a fantastic party. I had a girlfriend I didn't want anymore, but because I was drinking, I could handle that. I had all kinds of family, I had old friends, good friends, I didn't black out, I had a fantastic time. And this feeling that I had this whole evening was just fantastic. And that's the reason why I kept doing it so long. And if I move forward like 6 months further, in June 2020, it didn't work anymore for me. I went on a binge for a week, and I lost everything I had, everything that I cared about. I lost in this week. My son was 13 years, my youngest son, and my ex-wife told me, it's not safe at your place anymore, it's not allowed to come anymore. I've also been a criminal for many, many years, but I built up a normal career. I was a social worker, and I didn't show up for work, and it was not normal for me, so they went to check up on me, and they found me, they found me not in a very good state, let's say that, and they tore down my contract, and they said that you cannot take care of yourself, you cannot take care of anybody else. I had a girlfriend that I really fancied, and she said, I can help you as a friend, but not as a partner. So everything was collapsing, everything I cared about, and I could not stop. But the more I drank, I didn't get this feeling anymore. This bad feeling didn't go away. I felt worse and worse, and I could not drink anymore, and I could not drink. So I was fucked anyway. Luckily, I had an ex-wife that was so worried about me, and recently, I'll come back to that later, I hope. She was so worried about me that she called an ambulance. Later on, she told me she was telephoning with the doctor the whole week. She was so worried that I was going to die. And the doctor said, yeah, he just needs to stop. No shit, Sherlock. But she sent an ambulance to my house. And it was June 2020, and it was the 4th time that year that the ambulance came to my house. And my heart was going so fast that they took me to the hospital. And in that hospital, I had the moment of clarity, and I thought, what the hell am I doing? I'm losing everything I have. This needs to stop. And in the hospital, they gave me medicine that my heart slowed down, and after a couple of hours, they said, you're okay, you're good to go. So it was a Friday night. I went home, and I spent the night in bed. You've probably done it before, trembling, sweating, heart beating, and the next day, I had the whole day feeling that I was going to die. I was so scared, and then I got a DT, delirium tremens. I was attacked by spiders as big as my fist. The water came dropping from the ceiling. I live in a small bungalow, and this water came, I feel it on my head, but somewhere I knew there is no water. And I stood up from my couch and I was feeling on the ceiling and there was no water. And that moment was for me my moment of surrender. Help me, I cannot do this anymore. I need help. But I didn't know what kind of help, and I just had to wait for a couple of days till the shakes, the worst shakes were gone. And then I started making phone calls. The only thing that I thought about was I need to go to a rehab center, a clinic. And it was in Corona time, so South Africa was out of the question. It was winter there anyway, so I didn't want to go. And I didn't want to go to a 12-step clinic because I had something with the word God. I had a friend in Iceland who used to go to AA, or he was drunk or he was in AA. And when he was in AA, he was always talking about God, and he said, oh, I'll drink for the two of us and you do the AA. And so I didn't want to go to a 12-step clinic. And there was one clinic in Portugal, they had a swimming pool. I think that was vital to my recovery, a swimming pool. But luckily, I had to go 6 weeks in quarantine at home, and then in Portugal as well. And I thought, no, I don't have time for that. I'm self-employed. I cannot stay away so long. So thank God there was a beautiful lady that had the first conversation with me with the clinic that I called. It was a 12-step clinic. And I kept going to this conversation, and I called them back. I said, can I please come? I said, yeah, maybe next month. But the next day they called back, we have an opening spot, you can come in 2 weeks. So this 2 weeks I did everything to distract myself and then went to the clinic. And this was the best decision that I ever made. On Monday I came in, on Tuesday I was in a meeting of another fellowship, and on Friday I went to AA on the Aardehoek in Breda, and I never left. And the best thing in this clinic I did there the first 3 steps, but they also invited every week a speaker. And are there any people here who go to clinics, who go to prisons, do this kind of work? Thank you for that. I love you for that. Because that gave me hope. You get goosebumps all over. And then, especially one guy came and I was eaten by guilt and shame and remorse of all the bad stuff that I did, that I wasn't a father for my children, that I ruined so many relationships, and I've been a criminal. I ruined hundreds of innocent lives. And I was seeing all those faces of the people I've hurt, my victims. And there came a guy, he shared a story, and he said that he forgave himself, and he emphasized step 4 and step 5. That was a beginning of forgiving himself. And it gave me so much hope that I wanted what he had, and I asked him as a sponsor, and he's still my sponsor today, and I love him. In this clinic, we started the first 3 steps, and my step 1 was very obvious. You know, I'm an alcoholic, and no doubt about it. And my life is unmanageable, no doubt about it. And then came the God thing. Go and pray. But I don't believe in God. We don't ask you to believe in God, we ask you to pray. But if I'm going to pray and I don't believe in God, that's very hypocrite. Well, we've seen your step 1. You've been a hypocrite all your life. And then I remember, I think, okay, I'll try this, I'll do it, because my way didn't work, so I'll go and pray. And I went to pray, and I went downstairs to the counselors. I said, I prayed. On your knees? No. Still no good. But I'm going to go a little bit further. I left the clinic, I started working the steps in a pretty rapid pace. And my life was rocketed in the 4th dimension. My life changed immediately. And I'm not going to talk about how I did the steps, but I'm going to talk about the results of the step. I have a contact conscious with God, higher power, I call it God now. The word that scared me so much, I just use it now, and I'm not afraid for it, I'm not ashamed for it. It's the most important relationship that I have in my life today. That used to be alcohol, and now it's God. And my life changed so much, it's unbelievable. That my son that was not allowed to come to my house anymore in June 2020, in December of the same year, he came live with me with the permission of his mother. And that's only because I'm a sober member of Alcoholics Anonymous. The work, I lost my job, and I learned to let go, and I was talking to fellows, and I had so many plans, and what can I do? So I should apply for this, apply for that, what I'm going to do. Just let go and see what comes on your path. And then beautiful things came on my path. And like I said, I've been a criminal for all my life. And now I'm a forensic coach. I help other criminals. No, not to be better criminals, I could do that also. But to try to not be a criminal. But that's my job now. And I'm even having plans to open up a clinic for these people. And if God wants me to have this clinic, it will come. And I'll just do the work. I'll do my best, God do the rest. And also, they say, this is maybe clinic talk, like they say, don't make any big decisions in your first year. Maybe they never heard about step 3. It's a pretty big decision. And my son living with me is a pretty big decision. Me and that girlfriend, we were making plans to go on a honeymoon. With a honeymoon, then you have to get married as well. These are pretty big decisions, but I'm really happy that I made this first year. Because my life was rocketed into the 1st dimension. This last couple of months, I've been so grateful for my recovery. I'm so grateful for AA. When I started making amends pretty soon. I came from the clinic in September. I think end of October, I will start making amends. I went to my brother. My brother, I have tortured his son. I've had people torturing his son. So I made amends to my brother's son. And when I came from this amends, I went to my brother. And I came to my brother, and he said, I think I know why you're here. He said, but you don't need to make any amends. I was angry at that time, but I forgave you a long time ago. I'm not angry anymore. Yeah, but I really feel like I don't. Do you want some coffee? That was my amends. And I drank coffee with him. And we grew a little bit closer. And then 3.5 years ago, my brother got sick. He got lung cancer. And he'd been fighting like a lion for 3 years. And in November, he got the verdict he was incurable. He got maximum 1 year. And he died on the 12th of May this year. And this journey I could walk with dignity and grace, because I'm a sober member of Alcoholics Anonymous in good standing. I've been there all the way for my brother. I've been there in the beginning every week. And in January, I have 2 sons, my brother has 2 sons. We went to a bungalow and we shared memories, we had shared laughter, we went swimming, we had some dinner, we played board games. It was the best of times. The whole weekend was fantastic. And then my brother deteriorated, and I pumped up the volume. Sometimes it was the once a week, then I became 2 times a week, sometimes even 3 times a week. That even my brother was saying, don't you have to work? I said, yeah, but I want to be with you then. And his last week, you know, the suffering was too big, and he asked the doctors to end his life. And my brother hasn't anything with a spiritual life. I didn't have either before I came to AA. And on the morning that it was on a Monday at 11 o'clock, his life was going to end. And he came out of bed 7 o'clock. I was sleeping there, and I sit beside him, and I said, how are you feeling now about this? He said, time goes slow now. I said, yeah. I said, I really haven't got a clue what to say. He said, me neither. I said, but I'm really happy and grateful that I get to spend this time with you. He said, yeah, me too. And then the doctors came at 5 minutes before 11. And my brother is so brave, he's unbelievable. He said, how are you feeling? He said, fantastic. I said, are you ready? He said, yeah, I'm ready. And I grabbed his hands and I hold his hands. And I have a good friend in Ireland. She just had the experience of losing her sister, and she told me that she held the hand of her sister, and that when her sister died, she felt the presence of God. And I was trying to copy her spiritual experience. So I was holding my brother's hands, and I told him, I love you. And he said, I love you too. And he pinched my hand, and he died. And I didn't feel anything. I just felt life leaving him. And then I did the biggest act of love I ever did in my life. He didn't want to be handled. He didn't want to be touched by anybody. He wanted to have a closed coffin. And also the the ceremony, no flowers, no speeches. Didn't like it. I wanted a speech. But we did exactly what he wanted. Me and his sons, we carried him in his coffin. And I laid him in his coffin, and I kissed his forehead, and then we closed the coffin. And there's so much love in this act that I'm so grateful for my sobriety that I was able to do that. And then my spiritual experience came a little bit later. My brother, he sometimes said, you know, it's good you're not drinking, keep it up, keep it up. And we didn't talk much about it. And I was close to picking up my 5-year coin. And I was at the ceremony, like I said, just 3 songs, no flowers, no nothing. And after that, we should go to the bar and everybody should get drunk. That was his last wish. He said, okay, but I'm not going to get drunk, I'll go to the bar. And all his friends there were sitting there drinking, and they say, you're going to pick up your 5 years. All my friends knew how long I was sober. That was beautiful. And it was on a Friday, and I went home after that. And I didn't go home, I go to the meeting. Friday night is my meeting night. I go to the meeting, and then I went home. And this friend in Ireland, she said, can I have these songs from your brother's funeral? I said, yeah, of course. I sent it to her. And I came home, I think, okay, now it's Netflix time, and apple pie. I'm tired, and I deserve something. And then this woman texts me. She said, I'm going to listen to these songs now and sit in my garden. I think I'll do that too. And I sit in the garden, and I had a candle for my brother, and I was listening to these songs, and Shine on You Crazy Diamond, 14 minutes. But I cried my eyes out for 20-25 minutes, and it was so cleansing. It was beautiful. And I had this candle, and then I texted with this lady, thank you for sharing this moment together. And then I was looking at this candle, and I was praying to my brother. And then there came a storm for 5 seconds through my garden. I think, what? The weather's going to change. But the weather did not change. And I was waiting for an hour to come, and maybe there's coming rain, there's coming more winds, but it was just 5-second storm in my garden. I think this was my brother saying goodbye, saying he had arrived, he's home. And then on Monday, I went to my garden, hosing my garden, it was a blue sky. And I was thinking about my brother, and this same storm came again, 5 seconds, and only in my garden. And now I can choose. That can be a coincidence, but I can also choose this was a spiritual experience, my brother saying it's okay. And I think it was the last part. And this next day, I had so much comfort that the whole day I was like so happy. And I cannot copy anybody's spiritual experience. I have to have my own. And I'm a seeker. I keep seeking for new spiritual experiences. I do running, and I had an injury and I couldn't run. I got an operation, and running is for me praying, meditation, all in one. And I couldn't do that, but I'm a seeker. I'll seek something else, and then I found something else without realizing it, and that I was working again on my conscious contact with God, because when my brother was sick, I was praying and meditation so much, and I was so calm doing it. And after he died, I let it go a little bit. And when I let it go a little bit, I go on my own will again. And then I'm the only one who can drive. And then these nice ladies in the supermarket, they're slow while they're talking to other people. But then luckily I know these signs that I'm, you know, I need to pick up some other things, because if I stop making my inventory, you bet your ass I will be making yours. So, how am I in time? Okay, fine. 3 minutes, okay. Well, I still have a mother, she's 83, she's living in an elderly home. She's not doing that well. Since my brother died, she is going a little bit, she's losing her sanity a little bit. And that's sometimes really hard. She sometimes forgets when I say I'm coming on Tuesday, and then Monday she sits all day outside waiting for me. And then she calls me on Monday evening angry. I've been sitting here all night, the whole day. So, but I was supposed to come Tuesday. No, that's not true. And now I was there on Tuesday, and I said, Ma, let's put these yellow stickers on the refrigerator. So I now put it on a refrigerator Tuesday, and I'm going to be there Tuesday, so she knows when I'm coming. And the next Tuesday I'll be there, and I'll put a sticker Sunday. Then she knows when I'm coming, and she doesn't know how to answer the phone anymore. But I've been to Turkey with her, and also because I met somebody in AA who made it possible. I had a doctor in Turkey, a nurse for my mother. Flew with she's in a wheelchair, and we flew to Turkey in the middle of the night. We had the best week of, maybe not of our lives, but we had a fantastic week. And I took her to the shower, I brought her to the toilet, and speaking about making amends, I made amends to my mother a couple of times, and I was changing this urine bag. I had to empty it. There was a little bit pee on my fingers, and my mother was looking at me. This must be a horrible job. I said, Mama, every time I went to prison, you was there for me. Even in Iceland, when I was in prison, you came for me. So I need to change a lot of these urine bags to even break even with you. This is just all this acts of love, unconditional love that I've learned in AA. And I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for AA. I love AA. And I love you guys, and thanks for having me.
Dankjewel, Tom.